From the Midwest and the USA to Vancouver and the little LA, she'll be dishing its place no matter naughty or nice. You better believe she's a real housewife. It's a very commentary. A very commentary.
Nothing probably that is more exciting to people about my life than the fact that I was a cast member on the Real Housewives of Vancouver. But I thought nobody better to ask me the questions that we a couple weeks ago asked others to. If they have any questions about housewives, we're going to spill the tea. But I thought best person to interview me would be my best friend. And why is that? Because we met right before Housewives started. And we have remained the best of friends ever since. You and I met because of that opening sequence. They needed us to wear gowns. Well, people who live in Vancouver probably know this. There's not a lot of places to find gowns, right?
There still isn't. So yeah.
Yeah, there still isn't. Even now, to find a long dress, if you're going to prom, if you're like, it doesn't matter. You cannot find long dresses. It's very difficult in Vancouver.
True.
So I sought out where to find a dress. So there's a couple bridal shops in town. So that's how I met Brooke. So I walked in and then you ended up coming into the dress. I picked out a few dresses, or you were like, can I help you with something? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to be on this show. Or I don't even know how I told you. How did I
don't even know. Yeah, I think you just said a show. You didn't say what or anything like that. You're like, I just need a really nice dress. And
then you said something like, there's been other women in here saying that women coming.
I did say that. That's right. Jody had been in, and I believe two others had been in. Well,
did she come in on her broom?
we're locked and loaded now. All right.
I wonder where she parked your broom.
Okay, so she came in, because her store was right behind Lush, actually.
Oh, right, the glass house. Exactly.
Yes, it was like really just directly behind. So
shout out to the glass. Shout out.
Which was interesting that she did come in, because you would think she would have so many, dresses in her store or whatever. Anyway, she had been in there. I did not know who she was. I had heard of the store, and I think I've seen her before, but I did not know.
Okay. So she had been in there, and then I was like, I really need a great dress. Well, every dress I liked was like the most expensive dresses in the store, and they had black wedding gown from Vera Wang.
Was it white or black?
I wore a black dress, that one with the.
Oh, it was the Vera. That's right.
Yeah.
And we had pulled that from the back, so it was from the wedding section.
Exactly.
And I was pushing for it so hard. I was like, no. Like, none of these other dresses are gonna do. Like, they're just okay. You cannot have just an okay dress. And I think I pulled like I don't know, it was like $30,000 dress.
I know, and I was like, I can't buy this. I can't buy this dress. You're like, well,
I got it.
Lend it to you. I don't know. I'm gonna have to really, really work it to get them to lend it to you. So you did, and I
pushed for it really, really hard. I was like, she seems really sweet. She's gonna be on this show. Who knows? Might be good for the store.
Yeah.
And they let it happen. I was like, oh my God. Like, you were not what I thought you were gonna be like.
No.
Like, I just thought you were very different than what you ended up turning out to be like. In my mind, I was like,
I think I was a little bit more reserved then, because
you were, but you didn't know like what I think. And that was a question I was going to ask you. You don't know what everyone's intentions are when you're on a show or like starting a show. What are people's intentions?
That is true. And I certainly learned as the years went on, or the couple of years that we did the show.
Yeah.
I'm such an open heart that I kind of let
two.
Yeah. I've let so many people into my life for many reasons of, like, I've met so many amazing people during the show, but I also met a few people that I thought were sincere. That ended up not being, and I entered them into my
took advantage of you or the situation.
Yeah.
Or wanted something out of it.
Yeah. So it was, and it's funny that you didn't end up being on the show with me.
Probably is for the best. I would have gone Gary Busey on some people's ass. I think it would have been.
Dude, you would have been so hardcore. I needed that though.
Yeah, maybe true. Yeah. I
know. I have so many regrets with that show, only because I feel like people didn't really get to know the real me.
Well, that was going to be my number one question, because I feel like that's probably a lot of people's question. And I know you in such a different way now. Do you feel like you were how you are now on the show, or do you feel like you had to like hold back a lot, or do you feel like you were truly yourself, or do you wish you could have been a different way?
Good question. And so I think when I entered in, I was in such a different place in my life than I am now, obviously. But
Yeah.
I younger kids, I had been pretty newly divorced, not a couple years before that. I was struggling to kind of find my identity again, because I had been in music, and I had always wanted to be in TV and have my own talk show and all those things. I mean,
You're so good at it.
I'm struggling to find where I fit anymore, because I was kind of lost myself along the way because of the depression I had gone through in losing my marriage. And
Yeah.
so
That was big.
I moved to downtown from a neighborhood before that. And then I moved to downtown with 3 little boys in a high rise, and things were just so different for me then. And I always, felt like I'm an example to my kids, and I never wanted to ever have them think that I did something that would have embarrassed them.
Right.
So then I got on this show, and
That's a big deal. That's, that is a big deal, holding that kind of stuff back.
Yeah.
You can't be truly yourself sometimes in a situation when you're thinking about your children, or how are you going to look to someone else. And for some people, being on TV is probably not very natural, right? And as we probably saw on the show,
yeah,
people acted in certain ways because they probably didn't know how to act in front of a camera.
In retrospect, when I look back at it, I wish I would have been able to. Now I would do it differently, because now
What would you do differently, though?
I think I would say my mind a little bit more than I did before, and I would probably use humor. Like, that's one thing I don't think people know, is that
you know what? Absolutely so true. And I know you so well. And I'm like, I feel like there's so much more to you that people had no idea that you were like. And I'm just like, I feel sad for that, because I'm like, you are such an amazing person. You are hilarious. You have such a great personality. And like, there's so many amazing stories that you and I have. And I just feel like I wish that everyone else could see that other side. I mean, some people do, because like, we're always kind of like messing around on Instagram, all that kind of stuff. They see that side of you now, but
I mean, I grew up with a hilarious family. So, I mean, that's the part I think I didn't really get to show my true personality on the show, because I was always on the defense. Like, it was always like I was being attacked. And so
there was no fun being had. No one got to see that fun side of you.
Yeah. So I think that was, that was interesting. And why I was attacked.
Well, yeah. So that's one of my questions is, do you remember the moment and the day and the time where you were like, oh man, Jody hates me?
I'm engaged with trash.
Be a little more inventive and come up with something
shut up, okay,
original.
before I get a restraining order against
We've
you.
already got something coming for you, sweet pea. You know what?
She should get a spanking. If I were her mother, let me tell you.
Tell me more.
I'm going to serve Mary in 20 minutes. The lawyer wants to sue her. I'm a very strong business person. You're laughing about that?
What was that funny about that?
What's funny about that, Mary? I've worked my ass off to get where I am.
Why are we all yelling?
I sit on boards. I help people. I do a lot with my money. You're wrong, Mary. This is a clown show. I don't have time for clowns, honestly.
Jody was mean. She was mean. She would, number one question I always get, was it scripted?
Yeah.
No, it was not.
Like nothing, like zero, like
zero scripting. No. There was, you'd hire actors if it was, right? They try to egg you on a little bit to say things or to try to stir the pot.
And I get that, because then if there's no drama, then what is that show really? I mean, it could be just a show of women just living their everyday life, but I think people would be bored. They wouldn't. That's why they watch
dynamic for sure. You need the dynamic for sure.
Yeah.
But for me, it was so hard, because I went into it not really knowing what the show was. I really didn't know that there would be that kind of nasty, cutthroat drama. I'd never seen the shows before.
Yeah.
As soon as I was approached to be on the show by the production company saying, we are hiring for a new reality show, and you are on the short list. I got a phone call saying I was
How
on
did they find you?
someone, they were just asking around town who would be good to be on this show. And then one person would decline, but they'd say, I think this person might. I don't even know whoever suggested me. I don't even know. But they called me, and because of my television background, because I was in music, because I was in entertainment, I thought, oh, cool, there's a reality show. And I remember calling Ronnie, like we would talk, and she was like, what's going on? I go, I got the weirdest phone call today about being like, they asked me if I wanted to be on a reality show, or I was on the short list. And she was like, what reality show? And I go, I don't know. Like, they won't tell me the name until I sign an NDA, and they're going to send over something. And so I didn't know what it was. Then they send me over this NDA. I read what it was, and then you had to sign that you wouldn't tell anybody what it was about. And then they said, we're going to send you over a 25-page questionnaire. They sent me over this 25-page questionnaire. I answered all these questions about my life.
Can you be mean?
No, nothing like that. They should have. But more like about your life, what you do extracurricularly, like what your education is, like how many children do you have, what's your background. But I think they sought me out because I had already been a recording artist. I think that the element of music and the element of me, you
had following already, all the stuff.
Yeah. So I think, social media was not happening then, other than Twitter came in, I think our second season, Twitter started. But so we weren't all up in Instagram's grill, and we didn't have any of that.
That wasn't the scene yet.
Yeah. So it was kind of cool because I was like, oh God, this is kind of strange, but maybe good, because I was embarking on, what am I going to do another album?
You were doing Buff Beauty, weren't you?
That happened after.
Oh, okay.
That happened after. But at that point, when they approached me, I was like, do I want to do another album? Do I want to get into TV? Do I want to go into acting? Like, what do I want to do anymore? Like, I always wanted to have my own talk show. That was my dream. And even though music.
Well, you can talk.
Yes.
As your dad says.
No doubt about that, girl.
You don't stop talking.
I don't stop talking. Even when I'm sleeping, I'm talking.
You're just always talking.
Always talking. So
I don't even.
That's kind of how it started. Like, it's just kind of. Then I agreed to do it. Oh no! Then I didn't know if I got the part, because I didn't know how many people they interviewed to be on the show. And so then they asked me if I knew.
It was word of mouth.
It was word of mouth, and I didn't know how many were on the short list. Then they asked me if I knew anyone who would be a good, candidate, and I thought of Ronnie, and I was I had suggested to Ronnie before, and when she asked me about it, and I was like, Ronnie would actually be really good. And I just thought it would be really good for her. And plus she was hysterical.
It's nice to have someone
Yeah.
Or had met before.
And I thought that would be really good.
Yeah.
But then she applied for it. And she and I were like on the precipice of not doing it. Like, I remember her and I talking all the time going, should we do, what if we don't, if we get asked, are we going to do it? If you get asked and I don't get asked, or if I get asked and you don't get asked,
are you going to both do it?
And we were both kind of going, not sure. We don't know. We don't know what we're getting ourselves into, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did these in-person interviews. And I remember she went before me.
Yeah.
And then I went in, and of course they asked me about my relationship with Ronnie. So I thought it was all going to be fine. And then, but I still didn't know if I'd get picked. And then it was a couple of weeks later, and they called Ronnie first. Not first, but between the two of us. They called her and said, you're on the show. So then she called me, and she's like, I made it on the show. And I'm like, I don't think I did. They didn't call me.
Oh.
And then they called me. I don't know if I was the second last one, or I don't know what order, but they had called everybody individually and let them know. And then they were like, congratulations, you're on the Housewives. And I was like,
but you had known prior to that it was the Housewives, or you didn't find out?
Yeah, we knew like a week before that. But I was like, oh my God, congratulations. Is it congratulations, or is it, oh shit?
Is it, oh shit? And it turned out to be, oh shit.
And then it turned out to be, oh shit.
It turned out to be a heavy, oh shit.
Heavy, oh shit. So that's kind of how it started.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because I've never been able to freely talk about all this. And and I'm sure a lot of people want to know, how do you get in a show like that?
Yeah. And apparently it was very just kind of random. It's not even like you applied.
I didn't know. I mean, I did eventually
Interesting.
questionnaire, but
Yeah.
and then it was like, let the games begin, man. Because then Jody and Reiko and Christina.
Which you did not know. You didn't know any of them, right?
No.
Only Ronnie and Jody had met prior.
Yeah, exactly. And then it all happened. And as you know, season 1, I mean, God, I can't even imagine watching those shows again. One night we should just have a ball.
You haven't, okay, wait, you've watched all of it, right?
Yeah, but it's been years.
Yeah.
Years. It's been years.
Yeah,
so
I watched it all through.
Mortified. You just watched it when?
I haven't watched it since it was on, but I did
last
have it
night.
I saved it on the recording, and Todd was like, "Can we just get this stuff off because we need to make room for
other things?" Yeah, remember when you have to press the button to record stuff?
Yes. And so now it's gone, it's off. But yeah, we should. Let's just have like a pajama wine pizza viewing party, just you and I, watch it all back and cry together.
Oh my God, that's what it would be like. Oh
yeah.
Wow. Because I just can't even believe some of the abuse I took.
What was the most, I think I personally probably know, well, I think it was bad, but like, what is your personal worst thing that you think happened on the show?
Let's see. Well, I think, God, everything has to do with Jody. I mean,
yeah.
Overall, I think the fracture of my relationship with Ronnie was an overall bad thing.
Right.
Show. Because that,
that's hard. Yeah.
That was not that
when you
that
care
was not
somebody,
pleasant, right? Yeah. I think Jody's meltdown in season 2 at the Mad Hatter party.
I was gonna say that's mine.
Oh,
the apple toss
the apple toss. I mean, she literally threw a freaking apple at me.
She threw a freaking apple at you. I mean, the last time I
went like this to duck it.
Like an apple at somebody was in high school. Someone tossed it down in West Van High, like down a hill at somebody. And I'm like, we're not in high school. Like, I mean, it's never okay to do that, but why are you throwing apples?
And she called me like a slut, a whore. You're a slut, Mary. I'm like, I'm probably the furthest thing from a slut, of any first person on planet Earth.
Oh my God. Can you imagine being sitting at a Mad Hatter party and you get called a slut and apple goes swinging past your head?
I'm just like, what are you talking about? And then it was just,
I mean, it's wild.
But she was wild. For real. That was for real. Like I mean,
that's rage.
It was rage. Yeah. It was.
I mean,
where it came from, I don't know. I mean, I did not enjoy being on that show for probably 75% of it. She was so mean. A lot of it, I mean, I have to say, going to Mexico, season 1 was amazing because I was Kevin and Christina.
Yeah. That's amazing. So fun. That seemed like that was a fun time.
But the rest of it was just like, holy shit.
But that apple toss, that scene, nobody really thought that was shocking other than like the viewers at home. Like on the show when it happened, nobody really said anything. No one was like, oh my God, what are you thinking? They all just kind of looked at
it. What is that? But it was so effed up, man. Like, it just came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And she...
Yeah, because you weren't doing anything. You literally were not doing it. It's not like you were like egging her on or like...
Nothing. I know that there's a bunch of questions that have been asked from people on Facebook, and you have them. And I know one of those is about that particular, I think, incident with Jody.
Wow. Yes. Do we get into those now, or what do we have here? We have so many. Oh, yeah.
Let's get into a few and see. Let's get into a few.
Let's get into a few. While we're on the topic
of the Real Housewives of Vancouver fans that I said that I would answer. So, Brooke, who says what, and what are the questions?
Who says what? There is, while we're on the topic of Jody, we'll stick with it because
okay.
There's a lot of Jody questions in here. Mandy asks, is Joey? I can't even say her name now. Jody Is Jody really mean in real life?
Yes. Mandy, 100%, she is mean. Okay, just from my perspective, how does she treat others in her life? I really don't know, but I have heard many stories. Like, she is not a pleasant person. That was not an act. That was definitely who she is. I'm sure, like many people who are not really that nice or have, are mean, she probably has her good days and her good moments. But overall, I think Jody's mean. Yeah, she's a mean person.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Mandy, you got the question answered there. And now I need to just dive in one more time and ask another one. Did you ever get an apology from Jody since the show has ended or during the show? Was there ever any sort of apology or reach out of any kind?
Not one. Never. We ended that show and I never heard from Jody. I've never been told she was apologetic for anything.
Right.
I've never found out why she hated me so much. I still to this day don't know what her problem was with me. No. So the answer is no. No apologies. I haven't. Nothing. Heard nothing.
Okay, so we're not holding our breath. We're not holding our breath.
Yeah.
Josh writes, are you and Christina still close?
Okay, Josh. Well, I have not seen Christina since I think it's been about a year and a half ago. I saw her because she moved into Yaletown where my apartment was.
That's right. She was back. Yeah.
Yeah, she was back. She was in South Carolina. I went down there and interviewed her for my podcast, which was delightful. She was amazing.
Yeah.
But Christina,
she seems like she's really fun.
She is fun, and she's really smart. And but Christina's a butterfly. You can't catch her, right? She's
I can
just
see that. Yeah.
one of those, like, you try to get her, you just can't.
Yeah.
But she's been, I think, flying around Yaletown and around Vancouver again. And I always, regardless if I don't see Christina, she was really kind with me and very kind. Yeah, she was a great ally to have on the show. And I always have a really deep love and respect for her.
That's great. That's good. So there's some good things that come out of it.
Yeah.
We got one thing.
We got one thing out of it.
This is great. That's all we ask. One thing. All right. What else do we have here? Let's look for a good one. Well, they're all really good, but let's look. Is there any more? We got Mandy's. London writes, whatever happened to the reunion that was allegedly going to happen last year? I didn't watch the Real Housewives anymore, but I would watch that again if it came back.
Oh, okay. So that's a good question. So season 1, we had a reunion.
Mm-hmm.
And then season 2, they decided not to do the reunion. Why? I'm not 100% sure why we didn't do a reunion. I can't really remember. I was really grateful we didn't have a reunion because those things are tough.
I remember you. So could you reach out to them and be like, can we do a reunion? But you're like, no, I don't want to.
I don't know. I mean, we could, but I just don't. Yeah, that's a good question. I just don't know. Like, do I want to be subject myself to being in a room with Jody again?
Yeah, there's no value in it. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And if Jody ever said to me, "Look, Mary, I'm sorry.
I love the way you
I called you all these names and I hate you and blah blah. But I would like to make amends in this lifetime. I would probably
just a little bit of, not a full apology, maybe just take a little apology, I shouldn't have thrown an apple.
Yeah, well, I mean, and just all the horrid, like, she was horrible.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, but you know what? In this life, you learn to forgive and you move on. And I would be happy to do that, but not happy, but I would do it. I would do it.
Do you think there was any amazing things that came out of the show? Like, what was the best thing that came out of the show? Was there any good at all? Or was it just
meeting you? That was the best thing that came out of this show. I'm not just saying that. You know what? I think that, and I met a ton of amazing people. Of so many of the fans of the show. I was so fortunate to be able to meet amazing people. I also was able to, another good thing, I was able to raise probably, I don't know, close to $3 million for charity over the years.
Yeah.
As I, not only did I do it for tuberous sclerosis because of my son, but also and also for Variety. I was able to chair those. Had I not done Housewives, I don't know if they would have asked me to do a lot of the things that have put me in a pivotal role. And so I think that I'm really happy. I've done charity work my whole life. That was instilled when I was young from my parents to always do charity work. And so that's been great. Hero, the song Hero, I got to write with Chase.
Yep.
And sing with him.
I love that song. That video. Oh my God, it's so cute.
Oh, thanks, dude. And guess what? So that's another thing. Hero, I'm thinking now that Chase is 10 years older. He's now embarking on his own music career. He's in Nashville.
Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah, and he's become an amazing singer and guitar player. So I want to redo Hero now with he and I doing a duet.
I'm so all about that. I think that's going to be so cool.
Yeah, so
special for you guys too.
Hero and Housewives.
Yeah. I think it's so cute. So there was lots of good things that came out of it. Like you had a platform to do good things.
Yeah, and I mean
that weren't negative.
Yeah, and those are blessings in life, that you really get even through the dust and the dirt. You can come out of the ashes and some.
Yeah, what would you be doing right now without meeting me in a dressing room? I mean,
that's a good question, dude. What would I be?
Really tough.
Well, I'd be really bored. But anyway, back to Housewives. So what else? Back
to Housewives. Well, do we continue on?
Well, we can say, we are getting probably lengthy here, but
we do have a ton more. So
we have a ton more. So why doesn't this be the first set of questions? And Brooke and I will be back. We'll be back. Answer the next set of questions. And Brooke, thank you for gracing this podcast with your presence. And everybody, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for being and listening. And any more questions anyone has, you can always go to my Facebook or Instagram or Brooke.
And do they want to do a poll? Should we do a little live of us watching it all back together?
We will do that when we come back to Vancouver.
We're going to do that. Yeah.
All right. I love you, dude.
With us.
And I'll see you next episode.
Cheers. See you later.
Cheers.
Adios.
Adios.
A very, very commentary.